Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So lately, the last couple of videos I've uploaded on this channel were shot more recently and are about my life living here in Bangkok. But in today's video, I want to take it back again to my Europe travel series I shot before the pandemic hit and resume the adventure there. For those of you who are new to my channel, we kicked things off in Budapest by visiting the renowned Csenyi thermal baths, the Liberty Bridge and the ruined bars. So if you haven't watched the previous video in Budapest, I would advise to go check that out first, and once you're done, come back to this video. So this video marks my second video in Budapest, and we start today's video by grabbing lunch at Budapest's oldest indoor food market, the Central Market. The market is located at the foot of the Liberty Bridge in Fovem Square, a short 3-minute walk from the hostel I was staying at. The moment you walk in through the wrought iron entrance, the long array of shop fronts and stalls immediately comes into view with this magnificent airy roof structure that covers approximately 10,000 square meters. In the midst of this vibrant and lively atmosphere, you can just about find any produce you could ever possibly want under this one single roof distributed across 3 main floors. Whether it be your nourishing fruits and veggies, tender fatty meats, diverse European spices, or ready-to-go food, it can all be found here at excellent prices too. The advent of food market halls in Budapest first came about in the early 19th century, a time when food conditions were slowly declining in the capital. By building specialized food halls and bringing food sellers in-house, the food sold in the city became much more streamlined and easier to monitor, and food conditions gradually improved. I must admit I'm not really a fan of perusing around grocery markets, as I find it to be rather tedious and mundane. But here I felt quite the opposite, and that's mainly due to the fascinating structure that the market is housed in. The huge glass windows that run along the entire length of the hall spill in beautiful light that is accentuated by the airy orange roof. As you ascend to the upper floors via the elaborately crafted staircase, you begin to appreciate the sheer enormity of the hall. Of the many restaurants located on the upper floor, I stuffed my face in Hungary's mouth-watering national dish, goulash, a wonderfully spiced beef-vegetable stew enjoyed throughout Central Europe, all for less than $10. So if you're in the area and you feel a little peckish, this place is definitely a good shout to grab a nice, hot, hearty lunch. And for anyone who just wants a simple supermarket because they don't want to deal with the faff of deciding amongst a broad selection of food choices, there is a little tucked away on the lower ground floor, which I must admit I occasionally popped into to grab some basic essentials for my homemade carbonara that I was whipping up back at the hostel. After spending the next hour taking in the sights of the market and letting the large meal I'd consumed go down properly, it was time for me to burn off some calories by hiking up the steep Gelert hills for a panoramic view of the city. I started my hike from the foot of the Liberty Bridge, which is the steepest of all the routes you can possibly take, and it took approximately 25 minutes to scale up. During these 25 minutes, I briefly encountered picturesque views of the city before the trail rapidly deviated off-road into the woods and the entire trek fell to shit. For the bulk of the hike, I found myself navigating through dense woods, all while encountering random numbers on the floor as if I were in a TV series Lost.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I even stumbled across a strange-looking tent hidden deep in the woods.
We have found forms of life in these woods.
I wasn't sure whether anyone was in the tent at the time, but I sure as hell didn't want to find out.
I ain't gonna need that shit.
And eventually, after following a bunch of loose trails and navigating multiple forks, I made it out through the woods alive.
Oh my god, yes. There it is. Civilization again.
I'm quite sure I took a wrong turn somewhere down the road because I literally didn't see anyone else on the same route. Once you successfully make it to the top of the hill, there are 2 primary attractions to see. The first is the Citadella, a fortress built in 1851, with its purpose not as a means of defense, but rather an intimidation tactic implemented to scare the people of Pest when Budapest 150 years ago was 3 separate cities. And the other is a Liberty statue erected in 1947 in commemoration to those who sadly lost their lives in Hungary's liberation from Nazi Germany in World War II. And of course, last but not least, the panoramic views of the city. On the way down, I opted to take a different path from the one I came up for obvious reasons, which turned out to be a lot simpler and a lot more pleasant to walk down. About halfway down, I stumbled onto the statue of Bishop Gellert, surrounded by a beautiful elliptical sequence of 10 stone columns. It's a lovely spot to take a break from the hike and admire yet another wonderful view over the Danube River, this time gazing straight down onto the Elizabeth Bridge. Of all the bridges that were blown up during World War II, Elizabeth Bridge was sadly the only bridge that could not be restored to its former glory due to the large estimated costs which the Hungarian government at the time could not afford. Today the bridge is a 6-lane crossing with a more simplistic look and feel, but it isn't without its controversy, as there have been numerous motor vehicle accidents associated with the bridge due to the sharp road that immediately ensues as you come off the bridge. What many won't know is that the lighting featured on the Elizabeth Bridge was actually designed by a Japanese lighting designer, a project aimed at commemorating diplomatic relations between the two countries, with Japan contributing nearly half of the total expense. The next morning, I got myself up bright and early to escape the dense crowds and explore the architectural marvel known as Fisherman Bastion. The climb up to Fisherman Bastion is not as straightforward as one may think, since it entails ascending several flights of steps to the top of the hill, all while your view of Fisherman Bastion is entirely hidden by the surrounding buildings. It's only when you reach a series of the hairpin roads that the monument comes into view, and what a view it is. At your arrival, you're met with a grand facade carved from stone in 1895, with a staircase that gives a dramatic entrance to a higher elevation. The facade walls, along with 7 Romanesque-style turrets, provide for some unique views of the city, with each turret providing a different perspective, including a view of the magnificent Hungarian Parliament. Lurking just behind Fisherman Bastion in the middle of Trinity Square is the late Gothic Roman Catholic church, Matthias Church, named after one of Hungary's kings whose name lives on in popular children's folklore. The eye-catching mosaic tile roof of the church is made from a high-grade material called pyrogranite, an ornamental ceramic that is both acid and frost-resistant. Pyrogranite tiles are also present on the exterior of the central market we saw earlier in the video, which were both manufactured by a renowned Hungarian establishment from the city of Pécs. I finished my day off by visiting the Széchenyi Bridge, also known as the Chain Bridge, which is one of Budapest's most well-known landmarks, having appeared in numerous films and music videos, including the opening scene of Katy Perry's Firework music video. It was the first bridge in Budapest to cross the expansive Danube River, and it was designed by 2 British engineers. Big up Britain for this magnificent feat of engineering. The bridge played a crucial role in unifying Budapest in 1873, bringing enormous economic and social prosperity to the new city. Its construction at the time was regarded as an engineering wonder, as it once had the longest central span of any bridge in the world. Its imposing size radiates a calm and dignified ambience, and is one hell of a sight to see during both the day and the night. How's it going, people? I'm just standing under a lamppost here to get some natural light, and I just took some beautiful long exposure pictures of the Chain Bridge just there. The time is 8:40, but it's pretty much pitch black here. I'm gonna go to the Hungarian Parliament, take a few more pictures, and I think that's gonna be the end of today's vlog. This light seems to be having a few problems. Its intensity keeps varying. I assure you it's not the camera. But anyway, and then tomorrow's video, we're gonna go on top of the Chain Bridge. I'm gonna end today's video here, but make sure you tune into the next video. Until then, I'm out.